my mouse is sticking. Right.
Again.
Salutations. Shut up. Salutations, Ginger League. I can't help it if I have a dirty rat sitting next to me. And welcome to Super Geeked, where, of course, we discuss all the latest things on everything super. Now, I'm your host, Susan Sutton. If you don't know that by now, where have you been or why don't you know? My name is all over social media at the moment. And joining me this week, as always, are... which way have we got it? This way.
You're right for me. This way you're pointing at me.
Right, that's Andrew Durning and Kevin Tierney.
And Kevin's at my other side.
Oh,
so,
right.
There we go. You just do that.
There we go. So yeah, gentle dorks. How are you?
Kev, as usual,
Hey.
I'll let you lead the charge for this one. How are you?
I'm good. A lot of exciting stuff coming out, new trailers and
Yes,
exciting stuff.
Yeah, literally just as we were getting ready to get sorted, and I seen some of those trailers, and I was like, just had to look at them. What? So in a very, very slight change up, because obviously Susan won't be aware of these because she's in the army, she has a life on occasion. But Kev and I will talk about just the breaking developments, and then we'll jump into the subject matter, if that's okay with you, Susan. Gives you a chance to ask, because you're just back in from a meeting, very high level. You're a very high level person. So, Kev, first of all, Ant-Man 3 trailer. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it.
What did you think?
I think it looks amazing.
I think it looks great. The only thing that I don't like that Marvel have been doing recently is that they're taking older songs and just trying to kind of revamp them. In this case, it's Elton John's Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I get why the songs, these type of songs are in there, but Guardians of the Galaxy has the market on retro songs. Well, let them have their own little bubble and let them play in that little sandpit.
Yeah.
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special has dropped where Kevin Bacon is going to be in it as himself. Do you think it's going to be sponsored by EE?
It better be.
Just seeing him on his phone, downloading a mobile app. He's Kevin Bacon, center of the universe.
And then Drax bursts through the door.
Yes.
Well, in case you put hashtag EE in there, I would just like EE to know that I have been with you since the days of Orange, through T-Mobile and all that. I'm a very, very loyal customer.
So give her a discount.
Just, follow my name, Susan Sutton. Give me a reduction on my bills. Thank you very much. Carry on, guys.
Well, I was one of my first networks when I first got a mobile phone was Orange. I think I had BT Mobile very briefly, and then jumped to Orange, and that stuck there. And after that, I was like, "No, you're not representing the gingers anymore. How dare you?" You know what I always loved? You used to go to the cinema, and they would have the adverts for Orange, and it was like all these totally incompetent network executives, and you'd have these celebrities pitching their ideas for something, and they would just be changing it completely and making it so nuts and just tying everything about the Orange network into it.
Yep.
They were usually better than the films themselves that came out during the 2000s.
Yep. Reminds me of DC, don't it?
Exactly. Well, I think it's, how they used to say that, the show The Thick of It has inspired modern politics, because a lot of the policies they made up on that show have actually came into fruition. I think the Orange network ads have inspired the DC panel of executives for now. They just looked at it and thought, this is gold. And I'm like, well, this is shite.
Mm-hmm.
But so we've covered those, and the final one we will cover, since we are mentioning DC, James Gunn, who was directing the Guardians of the Galaxy franchises, he jumped to Marvel to do Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. He is now joint CEO of DC Entertainment. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he's been like the only successful person that's went from one to the other.
Yeah.
They've brought people in from DC, and then they've started to do something so it's not going to work, and then they've got rid of them.
Yeah.
And James Gunn's the only person that's been actually able to switch between them both successfully.
Yeah.
Even though the first Suicide Squad was a bit, and then the second one was still a bit, but then he redeemed himself with Peacemaker.
Yep. He's also been in the Harley Quinn animated series, which is just premiered over in the UK, as himself, and it's pretty funny. I've got to say, it's a really good show. I was so glad that got renewed for the 4th season. Because it is obviously it's strong female leads as well.
Yeah.
So definitely okay with that. So I think unless there's been any other breaking news since we have came on, I think that's about it.
I think that's about it. I've not looked for the past 10, 15 minutes because I thought, no, something else will come up.
Yeah.
And we'll be here in
sure.
we'll be here in like 3 hours going, oh, this has just come up as well, actually.
Yeah, and Susan will have shot us by that point.
Quite
So
possibly.
Yeah. So let's dive in for our timekeeper.
Right, okay. Well, Ezra Miller is to be replaced as the Flash in further Flash and DC movies. Now, George Mackay has been said to replace them. Do you feel that it's too little too late for the Flash franchise, and why not replace them with a current Flash star, Grant Gustin? Makes sense.
It does. He's played the role for now going on 9 years. He's really good. I think it's just they're purely just thinking of Grant Gustin as a television actor, and I don't think that's right because he's got great range. What they've said, a lot of the Flash series later on has kind of been meh, but that's not down to him. That's just down to bad writing. And if that's the case, the DC movies have fuck all to say on that. They've had absolutely shocking writing. So if anything, I think he would elevate it. And everybody a lot of people in the DC fandom want him, but they all keep saying he's too old. There are older versions of the Flash out there, you complete idiot. And I think he's only late 20s, early 30s.
Oh god.
I think he's like 32 or something.
Yeah, because
we won't mention Harrison Ford then.
Basically, he's younger than all of us. And they're saying he's too old. Feck off. There have been older versions of characters in superhero franchises as well beforehand. So he already met Ezra Miller's Flash in a crossover event. So there's nothing that can really rule him out. I just think they're just trying to be like, oh, we'll get someone fresh. No, we want someone that can actually do the job. Thank you.
Why not get someone that's done the job for 10 years? I mean,
I keep thinking it was 9, but because he made his guest appearance in the 2nd season of Arrow, that was a year beforehand as well. Yeah. My apologies. Apologies, Grant Gustin. We love you.
I mean, he's been doing this character for coming on a decade. He started it when he was in his 20s. He's now in his 30s. He's established as this character. In like 30 years, people will be going, he was the Flash. It's the role that's defined him. It's the role that's going to follow him for the rest of his life. Why not let him continue in the films?
Maybe that's why. Maybe he wants to sort of eventually soon step out and go in a completely different direction, even though taking over Ezra Miller's role as the Flash, perhaps he wants to be known as more than just the Flash. However, the money will be there. I think for me, I'd like to go for the money.
I think everybody would like to go for the money.
Yeah. I think I don't even think he's been considered for it. I think they're looking for people that have done big budget films, which is why they're going for George Mackay, who was in 1917. So he's used to the big budget way of doing things, whereas Grant Gustin's, I don't think he's done any like big budget films. I think he's been in a couple, but it's never been like massive budget things like Marvel or DC films. So they're like, I don't know if he'll be used to it, but he's been doing this show.
Yeah. The biggest thing he was in before this was Glee.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But doing the work of any superhero genre, TV or film, still requires a lot of dedication, a lot of effort, a lot of stunt work as well.
Yeah.
And it's the CW network is based in Canada, in Toronto, and a lot of them don't live in Toronto, so they have to get like the Supernatural guys, during their 15-year run, one of them had got married and had kids and moved to Texas and was flying from Texas to Canada to film, blocked for like a couple of months or so, and then away again, and then back for reshoots. So it can be done. They're just trying to look for options that are most convenient for them and not what the fans are actually wanting. I remember the meme years ago when it was the first Avengers movie had only been out, and it was only Arrow and the Flash at the time, and they were saying, we're not getting any movies, so it's like we should team up with Marvel. And this picture of Iron Man saying, "Great, we need a speedster and an archer." And the guy that was just getting cast as Quicksilver at that time and Jerry Renner both went, "The fuck did you just say?" And I just thought, they're great actors. They're proving it. Give them the shot.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing with Charlie Hunnam, the guy from Sons of Anarchy, being touted as like Green Arrow. I'm like, give Stephen Amell a go. He's good at it. There's potential to bring him back as an older kind of grislier Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And again, he done the role for 10 years. Constantly training. Constantly training to keep up that physique for 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Right. He's now known for the salmon ladder. That's basically where you get you're on a bar and you just use that bar to you use your core strength to catapult yourself up. He did that on, it was that Ninja Warrior?
Yes.
So there was that in America, there was a celebrity version, and he blasted right through it.
It was one of the quickest times that anybody had done it, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was like an extended bit to it, and he was like, "Look, I'm only going to go as far as the salmon ladder," because he knew the salmon ladder was in the next bit. He was like, "Okay, that's fine." And he did it just to get to the salmon ladder and show off, what he still had it, and we were all like, "Fucking hell, this is amazing."
Because when Grant Gustin found out that he was going to be the Flash and that they were doing a series, he's like, "I need to start training." And he's like, to Stephen Amell, "Can you train me?" He's like, "I can't train you, but I'll get the person who trains me." So they were training together. That's why when they done the crossover and Grant Gustin was Arrow and he was doing the salmon ladder, it's like, that's because I was training with him for like 5 years beforehand, so I could do it easily. And it's like that thing is devastatingly hard. Really hard.
I can imagine. I mean, I watched Ninja Warrior, the UK version, although they've got one where it's ninja champions from other parts of the world that are competing against the UK ones at the moment. And the stamina, wow. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched it up until someone won it, and then we just went, "Okay, we're out."
So let's move on to the next question. Now, X-Men, the animated series, is 30 years old. Does it make you feel old?
Yes.
And it's now being continued on Disney Plus. It is going to be called X-Men 97. Now, are you excited for this? And do you hope that they keep the old theme tune?
I have mixed feelings about it. I remember X-Men from my childhood, and it was great. But when it got closer to the end of the run of the animated series, it was a bit bonkers. It was a bit. They had space fish. No lie. They had fish that were in space, that were telepathic. They had space fish. It became a running joke with me and my brother. We just walk up to each other and go, "It's space fish." We're weird people. But the fact that they made something that weird, it justified it. So I'm a bit hesitant in that sense in case they go down the totally bonkers route. But I also don't want it to tarnish like the kind of legacy that the original cartoon had, because it was part of like this kind of 90s era of Marvel TV shows that were really mature for for their audience. Like there was the 90s Spider-Man animated series, which a lot of people still hold in high regard. The X-Men as well. Even the Fantastic Four cartoon was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Definitely compared to the dumpster fires of the movie. So I'm a bit hesitant about it, because I want them to stick to kind of what they had, but you also want them to try and freshen it up a little. I'm mixed about it. They have to keep the theme music though. They don't keep it, then it's not. Then they can't say it's X-Men 97. It'd be like they'd be spitting on the legs. Like, no.
Yeah.
Keep the music.
I mean, the whole space fish thing, I totally remember that because actually just about during lockdown, I watched them all again.
Yeah.
And it's like they still fit, the stories still fit, they're still quite relevant today. And it's like usually you see superhero things that age very badly.
Yes.
But that's not one of them. And the
Yeah.
Spider-Man series as well, that isn't one of them.
Yeah, because
And
the X-Men was basically, like, for Susan's kind of reference, it was an allegory of racism. But I was basically telling what raising awareness of racism, what about using mutants as kind of like, minorities at that time. So they were considering them freaks and didn't want them around, and like, oh, they'll destroy our world. What? So it was, and this is what was wrote during the time of like the race riots and stuff back in the 70s. So they kept that formula with the 90s, what cartoon. So broke a lot of boundaries, and what at a time where things weren't really getting spoke about anymore. Like, it was like it had a moment died down, and that's why the X-Men are always so relevant, so fresh, because racism sadly isn't going away.
Yep.
So all that stuff was really good. And then, like I said, they bring in Spacefish, and you think someone slipped you a tab.
The thing is, though, it's all stuff that was in the comics. They've
I
took
know.
stuff that was in the comics, so it's like these are things that have happened, and it's insane. But
Yep.
the head writer, he's vetted the team of writers that are coming in. He wants people that grew up watching it, and he wants them to be able to continue it because they were fans. They know
Yep.
how the story could continue. So it's all people that have been fans of the comics and of the show. And he's personally vetted every single one of them.
But have any of the cast, the original voice cast, returned?
I don't know. I don't know that yet. Because if they don't get Wolverine back, it's just not going to work.
Well, it's like Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine. We're all like, yes, because he had the role for 17 years.
Yep.
Well, it was the same with the voice actor who voiced Wolverine in the cartoon. It was so distinct at the time. He was the only Wolverine that we had back then. So, like, when Hugh Jackman got cast, we were all comparing it to the voice actor. But it's kind of like what we do with the Batman animated series with Kevin Conroy. That he was like our definitive generation's Batman voice. So when anybody came up, we were like, if everyone was saying, "Oh, my top Batmans are Christian Bale," blah blah, we're all like, "Oh, Kevin Conroy, voice actor, fucking brilliant." So it was the same kind of thing. So if they won't have him, then yeah, I would just be like, no. But if they get rid of Jubilee, I'm in because I hated her. She was just like, I just did not like the character. I didn't too like. I think because it reminded me too whiny, too girly. What? I was just like, no, I'm a boy. Why do I relate to this person? Complicated therapist issues.
Well, talking about guys then. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is getting a reboot on Hulu now that Disney own Fox. Do you think that it will be done well this time? Or do you think we should live with the movie we got and leave it in the past?
I'm mixed on this one again. I'll let Kev take the floor, and then I'll give my points.
Well, it's going to be a series, I believe, this time. So they should be able to give each character more time. So you'll be able to get introduced to each character and understand their backstory rather than just, oh, here's all these people. That's what they do. But how did they meet?
Yeah, it was just exposition dump.
Yeah, it's just oh, they've all showed up in this place. So right, you're a team now. But what? Why? It's like because the comics go into it in much more detail, and they've got people who have done old movie adaptations and old comic adaptations to write it. There's nothing been written yet, but they've got them in to hopefully get this whole backstory done and do it right this time, and not just have Sean Connery doing his one-liners.
Yeah. But for revamping old kind of styles, like I'm really hoping they don't bring Rob Zombie because he's fucked the monsters completely. That's a little thing for Frank McGowan, who is a massive Monsters fan, but he was absolutely raging, and I was like, I can see your point. So again, I will be have a bit of trepidation. I'm quite well, I'm sad because that was the film that Sean Connery retired on because it was received so poorly, and he was in it, and he was like, "No, I'm done," and that was him until he passed away. Don't get me wrong, it was a bit of a bell end, but that's still he still had a great career. And you don't want and nobody wants to go out on a down note with anything, any type of career, right? Leaving any job, you don't want to go out on a low note. So I will feel a bit bad in that way. That his last film was going to be getting kind of shoved to the side for this reboot. That being said, I do think a series would be better for it. Again, it was all very exposition dump, fling everything together. There was a theme with 2000s superhero movies and 2000s movies in general. It was just exposition. Now you do stuff. Oh, but we don't like each other. Why? We have reasons. What are they? We can't tell you because of time. And then big bad guy. Normally a big ball of light in the sky. Or something weird like that. And then it was like, okay, now we're friends. Yay. Okay. The end.
Yeah.
So, like
far too many of them in the 90s and 2000s.
And the 2010s was the main one for like the big. It was always a big beam of light that they had coming down from the sky, or a cloud-based villain, like someone that lived it, like some alien that looked in the shape of a cloud, aka like fucking what they done with Galactus and Rise of the Silver Surfer. I was ready for slapping, going up and just like ripping that screen down. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing to this icon?"
I know.
Oh my god, cloud-based villains.
Do you think it's like, you have one film that does something like that, and the fans are raving about it and they're saying, oh, that's fantastic, so another film, another production company will say, well, it worked for that film, let's have it in this film, and then so on, and all these different production companies, they all use the same trope basically. It gets a bit boring. Why can't these production companies think out of the box, dare to be different?
Well, that's why the MCU did as well as it did, because it was doing something no one had really attempted, was creating like a joint universe and bringing characters in together from different films and different kind of parts of a superhero genre. And then again, everybody has tried to jump on the bandwagon. Most have failed. I mean, everybody can say about Star Wars is now a cinematic universe, blah blah blah. But no, they were a franchise, and now they're trying to be a cinematic universe. It's like the same with like things like like the Lord of the Rings, like they were a franchise, and now they're trying to break out with serialized content and all that kind of thing. So everybody is trying to copy what somebody essentially what, but it's like making a copy of a copy of a copy. Eventually, everything just starts to fade until someone comes and kind of changes it up. So we'll see what happens. I would like to see a nod to the film, even just a subtle kind of reference, even just a wee kind of, even just like a in tribute to Sean Connery or whatever, like just something that kind of acknowledges the past of it, because we're like, if we didn't have this dumpster fuck, we wouldn't be where we are today, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just something like that, a wee nod to it, and I think I'd be okay. But I think it'll do all right. Actually, it's got great potential.
It does.
So, I was going to say, so talking about, things going on and eventually fading away, like with Transformers reaching its 40th anniversary soon, 40 years. That's almost my lifetime.
That is my lifetime.
In a couple of weeks, that'll be my wife's lifetime.
So yeah, and there's 2 more movies in the works and supposed new cartoon due in the next few years. Do you feel that we have had too much Transformers to last a lifetime?
I am biased. My brother is a massive Transformers fan. The way that I am with Thomas the Tank Engine, he is with Transformers. He collects them, and then he'll do like a wee kind of part where he'll keep them in good condition, then he'll sell them off and use that money to buy updated ones. He's always been like intricately, like, you know, he always loved Lego, loved Transformers, like all kind of building stuff like that. He absolutely loves it. But when I was about 7 years old, I got tied to a chair and made to watch the scene where Optimus Prime died in the movie constantly because it was like my version of Clockwork Orange. That was basically what it was for me. But I do have fond memories of Transformers for myself. Like, you know, they had some banging 80s music. There's some absolute gems of 80s music in there. One of the only original Weird Al Yankovic songs was used in Transformers the movie.
Yep.
One that wasn't a parody, and it was pretty damn good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But, there's been several iterations, some good, some horrible. There's been the Michael Bay movies, they're fucking horrible. There's been Bumblebee, that was good. And proved that John Cena could be a comedic actor. So they helped with that and get him on the right path. So, in my case, I'm too biased. I still want my brother to have something to root for. Yeah. Kev, I have a feeling you disagree.
A wee bit. I think the movies have been overplayed. I think they should have left it at Bumblebee, gone out on a high, because the three before Bumblebee were a shit show, basically.
No, you're giving it too much credit. There was 5 of them, and 4 of them were a shit show. Because there was the first Transformers, and then there was the second one where they gave the Transformers a scrotum. What the fuck? What? And then there was the third one to try and finish off Shia LaBeouf's character, and then they had 2 of Mark Wahlberg in it trying to be a scientist. He's not a scientist. He's Mark Wahlberg.
Exactly.
I'm an inventor. I'm an inventor. That's what I do. I'm an inventor.
Nope. No, I think they should have left the movies. If they want, do more series, do more cartoons. Even if they want, do a live action series. Space it out. Don't just have it all bundled together and throw like 6 or 7 different stories into one thing, like what they tried to do with the 5th one.
Yeah.
Because there was like 6 or 7 different subplots coming out of this. Is that what am I supposed to be watching? Where are you going?
Michael Bay had been pitched about 9 separate movies,
and he just made them all at one time.
He combined some and thought, right, the rest can be good for future projects because they're rubbish, but they're making me motherfucking money. And then everybody just went, no, we're done. At this point, we are actually done.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you'd think.
Carry on.
I was going to say that you'd think that instead of, like Kev saying, bundling them all into the one film, that to make a series, if it was 5 different stories in the one film, to make a series of 5 different episodes, and the merchandising for 5 as opposed to one film, I think would be phenomenal, really.
And that's the reason that will keep going, because it was this Transformers started out as a toy line, and then they wrote a series to tie in with it so they could sell, ironically, more merchandise. And when they done the movie, they killed basically all the original characters off, so that they could have a new generation of Transformers coming in, so we could buy more toys. Not thinking that they fucking emotionally scarred us all by watching like one of the most iconic badasses of the time, which was Optimus Prime, like dying. Literally, like, you see like his life support goes off, he turns grey slowly in front of you, and then it's just a wee kind of tilt, and you see like obviously there's always a kid crying. There's always a kid crying. And then sure enough, we're all just broken. This is only in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the first 15, 20 minutes, we are broken, destroyed, and it's like, okay, we're just going to cause you even more pain now, because this character that you've just gotten used to, we're going to blow him up. And then go, oh wait, but we can rebuild him, and he'll be fine. Why the fuck can you do that to Optimus? Oh my god, I was so traumatized by that one film, but it was all purely to make more toys.
Well, the thing is, what I can't understand is you have people of your generation, our generation, that watched the original films or series, whatever, and you would go out and you buy the merch and everything else. And now you're saying that they're going to be doing away with all of that and bringing in new stuff. But your kids may want to watch the original films, fall in love with the characters, and want to buy those characters. So why not just add to those characters, add to the merch stall, you know?
Mm.
Is
I
that
think
too logical?
a lot of it's usually down to kind of copyrights of the time and you know, who owns what and what they can do with certain characters as well. For one, I will not be getting my kids watching the Transformers the movie because they've got my sensitive nature. I will not do that to them. I would rather keep them in the nice state of innocence for as long as humanly possible. I will not do that to my kids. But and I will warn you, Daniel, if you're watching, if you do that to my kids, if they go, Uncle Danny showed us this movie, I will fucking kill you.
It was brutal.
It was because I remember it was like he comes out as a total badass, and it's like just going and destroying all these feckers to get to the big boss. They beat the absolute crap out of each other, and then it's just like basically with his last breath knocks the other guy on his ass, and then then he dies. And we're just like, oh my god, you've just watched what an icon of your time just like drop in battle. What? And it was just like, fuck me, man. I'm not even like I'm not, and I'm not like a massive Transformers fan. My brother is, so I was like, how did it affect him? Well, it scared him that much. He tried to traumatize me for the rest of my life, and it worked.
I was a massive Transformers fan. Loved it. Had
Who's your
all the
favorite?
toys.
Who's your
Optimus
favorite?
Prime. Optimus Prime. By
Mine's was
far.
Wheeljack. Mine's was Wheeljack. I loved what he was. He was the inventor of the group. What he made the Dinobots. You got to love a guy that can build dinosaurs. What? So you just seen that split second scene in the movie where what he was just like, you know, he was down and dead. He didn't even get to see how he died or anything. It was just that, oh, quick, he's dead. And I was like, not Wheeljack. No. Didn't even get brought back.
No.
So angry.
It's not real.
It was real to me. You're talking about a guy that loves anthropomorphized steam engines.
Oh my god.
And people
Right,
wonder
guys,
why I had to
that's
get
it.
therapy.
Yes, I think you still need it. But anyway, that's it for this show. Now, hopefully, once again, that's given all the viewers something to think and talk about. So until next time, he's Super, he's Ginger, and I've been your host, Susan Sutton. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.